Live from the Ankobian capital, Lumumba, the news source of the African continent, Habari Network International.
Habari gani? I'm Ochanda Gabano Koyo, and this is Habari Network International. We are a news program broadcasting from the nation of Ankobia, a first world country in Africa. We present the news that's currently affecting the African world in and out of the continent. This program is presented in English for our English-speaking Africans. We look to translate our news in various African languages in the future, but for now, we hope you enjoy our show. Badagani, I'm Ochanda Gabano Koyo, and welcome to another episode of HNI Weekly. On this week's top stories for the week of November 15th, 2021. Sad times coming from the east. The country of Uganda is dealing with tragedy this week from Tuesday's bombings. 2 bombs went off in the country's capital of Kampala. Ugandan President Museveni, aka M7, stated that at least 30 people are injured, with 3 in critical condition. He also stated that 3 of the attackers died while detonating their bombs, and 7 were killed while resisting arrest. A would-be bomber was pursued to his home, and 2 bombs were recovered and detonated safely. The 2 explosions were 5 minutes from each other, with 1 explosion happening near the Parliament building. The Ankobi ambassador to Uganda, Aya Kiden Simbe, was close to the Parliament at the time of the bombing, but she was not injured. In October, a bomb was also detonated in Kampala, killing 1 and injuring several. As development comes in, HNI Weekly will have you informed. When you know better, you do better. In Ethiopia, the government communication services made the announcement that the government is working to end the civil war in a quote-unquote short period of time. According to the news media, the Addis Standard, Dr. Lagazi Tulu, Minister of the Government Communication Services, accused TPLF forces of spreading misinformation to the people of Ethiopia in an effort to create distrust between the citizens and the government. Earlier this month, the government opposition known as TPLF reclaimed the northern region of Tigray. The Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, then called for all to defend the capital, Addis Ababa, after the government learned that TPLF soldiers were making their way to Addis in an attempt to take over power of the nation. Efforts have been made by the African Union, including Ankobi President Jatelo Ogala, to seek a ceasefire between the 2 sides. President Jatelo stated that, "Whatever we can do to save Ethiopia, we will." War is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. Protests and more violence continue in Khartoum, the capital of Sudan. The fatalities, all in the capital, have risen to 39 since the military overthrew the civilian-led government, led by Abdullah Hamdok. Since the coup, Hamdok has been put on house arrest, and military leader Abdel Fattah al-Burhan has increased his power by appointing his military in government positions. The Ankobi ambassador to Sudan, Kiminza Kilanzo, has said that attempts to calm the military forces have been unfavorable, but he did manage to get Fattah al-Burhan to agree to allow all Ankobi nationals to safely leave the country. According to Sudanese media outlet Radio Dabanga, hundreds more have been wounded, and witnesses at protests say that most of the casualties have suffered through gunshot wounds. The military overthrew the civilian-led government back in September of this year. Khartoum, Sudan, has a metro population of around 5 million. Nairobi County, let's go! Nairobi County has a new governor. Anne Kananu is the 3rd governor and first woman governor in Kenyan history. The 41-year-old finally took office after a 10-month drawn-out court battle that initially had her ineligible to take office. Kananu will be leading Nairobi County by her campaigns of ruthlessly fighting against gender-based violence, transparent budget allocations for facilities, and establishing a witness protection program. From us at HNI Weekly, we congratulate Governor Kananu and the people of Nairobi County. Time waits for no man. The Ankobi Secretary General Wangeshi Kamau met with United States Secretary General Anthony Blinken this week. The U.S. representative was in Lumumba and Kobia to negotiate the unconditional release of sanctions of the countries of Zimbabwe and Haiti. After the meeting, Kamau stated that the representative wanted, quote-unquote, more time to look at things. She followed up stating, the U.S. can take all the time they need. Kobia will be using that time to start withdrawing aid. If you remember, during the global pandemic, the Nkobi government sent $30 million in foreign aid to the United States to help with the water and food shortage in its poorest states. The lifting of sanctions weren't the only things discussed. The Nkobi Secretary General did inquire about the safety of the American public during the upcoming 2024 general elections. General Kamau was in Washington as an election observer during last year's United States presidential election. She reported that the voting process was fair, but not free, especially in U.S. states that had egregious issues of voter suppression. El Libio! Liberians in the diaspora can now obtain Liberian citizenship. After the Liberian Supreme Court decided against the measure last month, the House of Representatives in the Liberian government passed the Dual Citizenship Bill. This now makes it lawful for one to obtain citizenship of a foreign nation while also holding Liberian nationality. Liberia is a nation in West Africa, and Liberia is also Africa's first and oldest republic. Roses are red, violets are blue. Coronavirus may come to you. COVID-19 cases have reached 8.5 million in Africa, while nearly 8 million Africans have fully recovered. So far, 135 million vaccines have been administered. The Sebi vaccine has been credited with a high recovery rate in the continent. Since the offshore production of the Sebi vaccine in China and India, numbers of deaths have dropped significantly. COVID-19 still continues to be a problem across Europe and the West. When we come back, we will read from this week's African proverb. Don't go anywhere. You won't want to miss this. Welcome back. Since ancient times, Africans have been known to speak proverbially. And here at HNI Weekly, we typically don't break tradition. Let's go ahead and pick from the jar of African proverbs. Shake it off. Shake it off. In this week's African proverb reads, from no particular African ethnic group or nation, birds sing not because they have answers, but because they have songs. Once again, birds sing not because they have answers, but because they have songs. My interpretation of that is you are destined to do what you are destined to do. Meaning, if you are destined to just live at home with your parents for the rest of your life on their couch in the basement, you will be that person. If you are destined to take somebody's daughter hand in marriage and lead and prosper that marriage and the children and your children's children and thrive into the rest of your guys' progeny, you will do so. So, the message is, do what you're destined to do. And you, what is your interpretation of this week's African proverb?
When black people was going through things, they said, shut up, boy. But when it happened to them, Black Lives Matter. Shout out to Rittenhouse.
This case has nothing to do with race. It never had anything to do with race. It had to do with the right to self-defense.
Right.
I'm not a racist person. I support the BLM movement.
If you have your own interpretation of this week's African proverb, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell for this and other HNI Weekly videos. For more HNI content and to connect with us on all social media platforms below, hit the description box. For HNI Weekly, I'm Ochanda Gabano Koyo, signing off.